Good morning, kids. Today we're going to be learning about dividing decimals by a whole number. Dividing decimals by a whole number. Remember, a decimal is a number with a decimal point in it. There it is. 40 decimal point 24. That's 40 and 24 hundredths. And we're going to divide that by 8. Now, the best way I can use this program to really show you exactly how to work this is just to simply put in a wrong number. I'm going to put just 3. Just a terribly wrong number that makes no sense at all. And I'll submit that, and then we can look at a really valuable feature of this program is the tutorial at the bottom if you miss one. Okay, the correct answer is 5 and 300ths. I'm going to scroll down to the explanation. Always go and refer to the explanation if you miss a problem, because this tells you exactly why you missed. Okay, now the first thing, we're going to go step by step. We're going to bring up the decimal point and divide by the ones, okay? So here, the decimal point, do you see it in 40 and 24 hundredths? All you do is bring it directly straight up and park it right there. And then the next step is you're going to divide 8 into 4, and 8 does not go into 4, right? So we've been putting a 0 here, and they just left it blank. They skipped that step and moved on and combined the 4 and the 0 to make 40. Now, if we had put a 0 placeholder at the top, multiplied through and subtracted, then we would end up with 40 down here, and we would still be dividing 8 into 40. So they skip a step so that they go directly into dividing 40 by 8. Okay, you can do that. That's probably the best way to do this. But how many 8s are in 40? 5. Now remember, put the 5 above the ones place of the number you're dividing into, okay? And then multiply next. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtractions next. Bring down 0. Subtract and get 0. And then bring down your 2. Now, does 8 go into 2? We find out that 8 does not go into 2. So step 2, to divide 8 into 2 gives you 0 times. 8 goes into 2. Put 0 in your quotient. Multiply it out. 0 times 8 is 0. Subtractions next. Remember, dad, mom, sister, brother, and rover. Subtraction comes next. 2 minus 0 is 2. And then bring down is next. You bring down the 4. And you create a whole new number to divide into. Okay, a whole new dividend. It's actually a partial dividend. Okay, and then you ask yourself, on the next step, how many 8s go into 24? And you find out it's 3. Okay, so 3 times 8 is 24. And when you subtract that out, you get 0. And remember, when you're dividing with decimals, you always must have a remainder of 0. If you don't, you have to find a way to make your remainder 0. And I'll show you that in a little bit, okay? The quotient is 5 and 300ths. That's the final answer. So basically, the difference between this and dividing a whole number is you just bring the decimal point straight up. That's all there is, okay? Pretty simple, right? Let's try another one. Okay, we have this number. Courtney and her friends ran a total distance of 26 and 2/10 miles at the Spring Fever Relay. Each of the 5 girls ran an equal distance in the marathon. How much did each girl run? Our dividend would be 26.2. That's what they ran total. And 5 girls is what we're dividing that by. So it's 5 is our divisor. Again, I'm just going to put in any old answer just so I can see the explanation. We know that's a completely wrong answer. And then I'll scroll down. Our correct answer should be 5.24, 5 and 24 hundredths. Here's how you do it. Okay, remember our steps. The first step, bring your decimal point straight up. 26 and 2/10, bring it straight up here, and then you start dividing. 5 does not go into 2, but 5 does go into 26. How many times? 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. That's your multiplication. Sister's next. You subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. Or 26 minus 25. Basically, it's like 6 minus 5. The 2's cancel out. And you have a new dividend to divide into. It's 12. Okay? Move to the second step. And how many 5s go into 12? It's 2. So you multiply. 2 times 5 is 10 down here. And after you do that, you subtract. After you multiply, you subtract. 12 minus 10 is 2. Now, remember what I said before? We got a remainder of 2. And I said we can't have a remainder. You cannot have a remainder when you're dividing. So what do we do? How do we get rid of the remainder? Well, here's where it says. This is the biggest thing you'll learn today. If you have a remainder after you finish, you have to add a 0 to the dividend and then bring it down. So we add a 0 that's not in our original number. Remember, our original number is 26 and 2/10. We're going to make this 26 and 20 hundredths. Add a 0 here so that we can bring something down to get rid of this 2, right? Get rid of the 2. We make it 20. So now what we do is this. How many 5s go into 20? Yep, that is our step 3. And we find out that it's 4. 4 5s make 20. And 20 minus 20 is 0, and that's exactly where you want to be. You want to have a 0 for your remainder. Always with decimals, a 0 for a remainder. And your quotient is going to be 5 and 24 hundredths. 5 and 24 hundredths. It's that easy. So remember, always you have to have 0 for a remainder. And up here, when we finished up here, we had 2 for a remainder. So we had to add a 0 in our dividend, bring it down to make 20 so that we could divide that and get 0 originally or at the end. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay, I think you'll do well on this. You have about 5 problems to work. Take your time, do your best, and I know you will do well.